Alright, so I'm going to do a walkthrough video on how to install the RSNav in this S5. I've seen a few videos out there, but usually they're not as detailed as you would want them to be. So I'm going to be recording the whole time, and I'm going to be walking through exactly what needs to be done to get this installed. Alright, so this is my friend Sean's car. So he's got a 2014 or 2015 Audi S5. He just got it wrapped in this nice blue. And he decided to put an RSNav in it, so I'm going to be installing it for him. I have the same exact car, so I've already done this before, so I already know what I'm doing. And so we're going to do the same thing in his car. Alright, so here's the RSNav. He decided to go with the S3, so that's the touch screen, and this is the 10.25 touchscreen. So here's the screen. Got the bezel that goes behind it. A lot of people ask this questions all the time on the page. You know, what's behind the screen? Is it a hole? No, it's not a hole. You get a bezel that goes over everything, and then the screen goes on top of it, just like that, and you don't see anything behind it. So that's that. Got the mounting bracket that goes in the back. You got the antenna splitter. This is also another question that a lot of people ask is, do I have to use this? People will install their RSNav and then they're left with this, and they're always posting, you know, what is this? What did I miss? So you don't have to install this. This is just the antenna splitter, so that for the GPS antenna, so that you can use it with the car's stock GPS. So the car's stock GPS antenna is in the fin right up here, so you can use that instead of GPS antenna that's provided with the RSNav. So if you decide that you don't want to use this, you can just use the splitter, and the splitter will connect and it will tap into the car's antenna. If you don't care to do that and you're gonna use this, if you want to use the one that came with RSNav, then this cable will not be used. So if you ended up with this cable, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. That's what's supposed to happen. But anyways, so you've got the USB cable that goes on the side, so you can plug in things into it. You've got the main harness. So not much to be said about that. And then of course, Sean's gonna do also the backup camera, so the HD camera that goes with it. So I'm gonna do a video on that as well, how to do that, because there is no videos out there at all how to do it. So we've got everything here, so we'll get started. I guess the other two things that I forgot to mention is there's these two cables, and there's also another antenna. This is the Wi-Fi LTE antenna. So this is the one that's really flat. That one also gets connected, so you have two antennas. And then this short cable right here, that is the video that goes into the RSNav. The cable that's in the car right now is a right angle, so the connector goes up, and then you can't plug that connector into this because there's just not enough room. So they give you this splitter so that this goes first into the screen, and then you plug in your stock connector in here. So those are the only two things that are left here. So we're gonna get started. The first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install the antennas. So we've got the GPS antenna and we've got the Wi-Fi LTE antenna. Usually people will tend to install them right up here in the dash somewhere. They do recommend that you do put them up in the liner on the roof. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do the recommended way. So we're gonna start with those. So to be able to put the antennas up here, I'm gonna put them under the liner, and then I'm gonna run the cables down the side, down the pillar, and then over here behind the panels, underneath, and then into the unit. Both of these need to go up into the headliner. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bend this down a little bit and then just tuck them in there underneath there, so that there should be enough room to do that. But then to run the cables down, I need to take this pillar down. So to do that, you've got this airbag clip right here. So that's a clip. So you just need a plastic tool or anything to pry it. So you just put the plastic piece in here. Just do that. So this is just on clips. Okay, so we've got a screw that's inside there. That's a T25. So I got a T25 here. Okay, there we go. Just like that. And there we go. So you can see there's that's where the screw goes right there. Down here we've got a clip, and then there's another clip right there. So right now this is kind of just stuck in at the bottom at this point. So you just gotta give it a little bit of force. Actually, I forgot. We have to take the side down. So take this off. There's that. Okay, and then let's get held up in here a little bit. So, okay, and there we go. There's really not much down here. It's just it just sits in there like that. So okay, so I've got both antennas here. So now I'm gonna take both of them and simply going to, this is your GPS, so you always want to make sure that the GPS is always pointing towards the sky. Your backing that's back here, this is just a glue pad, so I'm not going to take it off because there's really no need, but you want that to be down. You want it to be pointing up, otherwise you might have some really bad signal. Same thing with your LTE antenna. That one's got a backing too, so you want both of them to be pointing up. So I'm going to take these and I'm just going to shove them in here, and then every time I'm making sure that they're pointing up, like I mentioned. So just right there. Okay, and then just take the cables and then just flex the line a little bit, and then putting in, just tucking it in there. So there we go, something like that. So we can see right here, you got the wires just coming down here. I've tucked everything underneath so you can't see it. So we're gonna go and keep going down here. Now, in case you're wondering what's going on here, so this is an airbag. So you definitely want to make sure that you're never putting these cables across the airbag like this, or twisting them or shoving it underneath. If this ever goes off, it's gonna rip everything out for you. So you want to, I'm putting it right here. So this is your drain from the sunroof. So that's where the water goes when it drains from the sunroof. So I'm putting it right behind here. Okay, so I've got them tucked away. So they're all the cables are sitting right back here. I've actually used the clips for the sunroof drain to kind of hold them in place. So you can see it's all going right here. And then I fed it right in there underneath and right to the side for now. Okay, so at this point we can put the pillar back on. So if you want to do the same thing as when we're taking it off, but in reverse. So you start at the bottom. Let's see. Okay. So you want to push this back in first. At the bottom here, you want to make sure it goes in behind the dash. So go, and then on the outside, you've got the door seal. So you want to watch that. And there's a plastic piece down here. Everything's making all kinds of cracking noises, but that's all right. There we go. Just give it a little bit of push, and now it went in. Okay, so we've got two clips that we need to make sure that go in. Okay, so now that we've got this in, we've got the clip right there, one right here, and then you've got this. This is where the screw goes, and then you've got this little piece that's sticking out, and right here this is where the screw goes, but the little piece goes in here. So you want to align it just like that, so that this little piece goes in. Once that goes in, give it a little tap. Okay, so the clips are back in and everything looks good. And clearly this camera doesn't like that I'm punching the car, so, But anyway, so that's all back in. Now we can put the screw back in here, and then this clip just goes back in. Go. The clip, the bottom goes in first, so you want to slide that in bottom first and then clip in the top. Alright, so now that we've got the antennas installed, they're right here. The next step is to take the glove box down. We have to take it down because there's the gateway module is right here, and we have to connect to it. The only way to get to it is to take this down. So once we take it down, the module will be right here and we'll have access to it. So to get all of this down, you've got a bunch of screws, so 8mm screws. So there's one right here. You have to take this one out, and inside the glove box itself, you've got a screw right here, a screw right here. They're all 8mm. Another one here, here, and here. And then if you look inside, I don't know if you can tell, but it's all the way in the back. So there it is. It's right back there. There's another one there. And the next step is, actually before you get to all the screws, you have to take this pocket out. So it's very hard to see, but if you look inside right here, there's a little tab right there. So there's tabs on both sides. There's another one here. So you're gonna take a pick, and right here, it's very well hidden. So you can barely see that there's something there, but you have to really look for it. Right here, right there, and that's a tab. So there's one, and you have to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so here we go. I've got that. I got both of them pulled out, and then you just pull at the same time. Okay. And the reason why you're taking that out is because of this screw right there. All right, so now we just start taking all the screws off. Okay, so I've got all the screws out that were inside and on the side of the glove box. So the remaining ones that we have are underneath. So this is your airbag. This is the knee airbag. So you want to make sure you're careful with that. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 screws. Alright, so there we go. Now that I took out, so there was only 4 screws on the bottom, so we had a total of 12 screws. So now that I've taken that out, the glove box wants to come out. So here we are. And then this is what we were talking about. So here's the gateway module. We're gonna have to disconnect that and then connect to it, to our RSNav. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run these antenna cables that installed earlier. Okay, so now that I've got the cables right down here, I'm going to route them up here, right up here. So they came down to the side here. I'm going to go here. I actually originally had them, started doing this and originally just had them come down here and then go here and in the back, but then I realized that one of the antenna cables is actually just way too short and ended up being like right here, and we need to go all the way up here with it. So I'm gonna route these in here in this hole and then go from right here, go on top, and then run it across and then go in there. Okay, so like I said, I fed the cables through here into the hole, so they're right here and they're just going underneath. So right here where the glove box is, I I put them right above this bracket. This is where the glove box mounts to this, so you want to be above that so that you don't pinch the wires. And then I ran them across here, and same thing here. Here's the other bracket where the glove box mounts, so you want to be above that. I'm just gonna zip tie them now nicely and clean it up. All right, so here we are. I've got the cables cleaned up and running across. Okay, so next we're gonna start taking the center console apart once we've got the antennas run. We're gonna have to start with the climate control. This has to come out. So the first thing you want to do is put the car in drive, because the stick is just way too close and you won't be able to get this out. So put this in drive, toss some towels over it so you can protect it. Okay, so then you're gonna need two picks with hooks on the ends. You're gonna put it underneath here, underneath the climate control. So underneath there's holes. There's a hole right here, and there is another one right there. So you're gonna put the two picks inside of there, and then you're gonna pull on the climate control this way. Okay, so here we go. Gonna put the two picks in there, and then just pull. There we go. You can see that it's just got clips on, two clips on this side, two clips on this side, and then you've got the two connectors that are in the back. So I want to remove those. First, you've got this red tab that you have to slide out. There you go, there's one. There's the other one. And then now you just press. Alright, so I already got them out. There we go. And then we can set that aside. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the MMI. So the MMI is sitting right here. That's your radio. So to do that, you need the Audi radio removal keys. You can get these anywhere on the internet, eBay, Amazon. They're like $5, $10, depending on where you get them. So they're very cheap. And this is something that doesn't come with RSNav, so you have to get it yourself. So do that. You're gonna put it right here. There's a little hole just big enough to put the key in, and you want to do the notches towards the inside. So this one on the left will go like this. Just push it in until it stops, and then same thing on the other side. The notch is facing inside, so like this, and put it inside this hole. And it's very hard to see. You won't notice until you actually are looking for one, but they're right there. You can see it's just very tiny. So that's where it goes, right there. Okay, so once you have both of the keys in, you grab both of them, make sure they're in tight, and then you try to kind of pull them aside so that it wedges them in there, and then you pull on the radio, and then it will come out. So there we go. Once the radio is out, you can take the keys out, because that's been already released, and then we just slide this bad boy out. Okay, so here we go. The radio's out. We've got all of these connections back here, and we're gonna have to connect the RSNav to these. So for now, you can disconnect them. So all of these just have a little bit of a little tab on the top. So you press the tab, and then you pull out. So thing on these, the tab is underneath. Okay, so on the big one, it's got a little tab on top. So the tab is right here on top. Let me show you. So you got the tab right here, and then there's a lever. This whole piece is a lever. So you want to press the tab on top and the lever, and then pull out, and then you're gonna see this slide out. And then the only cable that's left is the optical cable. I can see that it's got a tab on the back right here. So press that and then take that out. Okay, there's the optical cable, so that's out. We've got the radio out, and then underneath you have the buttons for traction control and whatever else. Yeah, and then the drive select. So Both of these, same thing, tab, tab, and then just pull those out. There we go. So there's one, there's the second one, and that goes right there. Okay, so the next piece that we want to take out is actually up here where the screen is, where the RSNav is going to be mounted. So we want to take this trim off right here. The trim is just on clips, so you want to use your plastic pry tool and then start putting it underneath, and then just keep doing that until this whole piece comes out. You know, there you go. Everything just kind of slides out. So here is your emergency button. I can already tell it's got a tab right on top. So press that and then take out the connector. At this point, you want to make sure that you don't turn the ignition on, because once you turn the ignition on, it will throw a fault for airbag. So the airbag light is going to be on the dashboard. So make sure that once you disconnect this, you don't turn the ignition on anymore. All right, so I've got the airbag connector disconnected. So we can put this piece aside. Okay, and so here is the stock screen. So you've got 4 screws right here. Those are Torx screws, so those look like probably a T25. So we want to take all 4 of those out and then take the screen out. Okay, so there we go. I've got all the screws out, and now this will just slide out. So we've got 2 connectors on the back. You have the Lvds connector, which is your video, and then I'm not sure what the other one is, but that one won't be used anymore once we unplug it. So I've got a tab right here. Press the tab and then this should come out, and then the Lvds cable has the tab right on top as well, so we'll press that and then take that out. Okay, so I've got the screen out. So there's the Lvds and then the other connector. Both are right here. There's that one, and then there's the other one. So in the instruction manual, it says that this one will not be connected to anything anymore, just this one. Okay, so once we've got the screen off, we're gonna take out the vents. Most people will use a pick, and then you can either insert it inside and then use another one on this side, and then you want to pry on it. Last time I know I did it, it was a combination of putting it inside and outside and just playing with it until you get it out. Once you get that out, you've got the that's for the knobs, the cable for that to tell if the vents are open or closed. So a little connector with the tab, take that out. Okay, and there are your vents. So okay, so now we're going to start routing the harness for the RSNav. So I've got the whole harness sitting right here. So here's what we've got. So we've got this white one. The white connector connects to the RSNav itself, to the screen. So you want to take this and you want to route it up here. You want it here. Then you have this little box with the 2 pink cables, the 2 twisted cables. Those are for the speaker bypass, so the speaker that sits up here. And then you have this really big one that connects to the radio, or the MMI, which sits right here. So there's the original plug that you're going to be connecting to. And then you have this one, which is for the gateway. And the gateway is right back here. So this red connector, you're going to be connecting to that. So you want to start with the white side, and then the speaker bypass. You want to get both of these up here. So you want to feed them through. So you want to start down here. You're going to put it in, and then you're going to try to feed it both of those up here. There's a good spot that's you look right in there. let's see, there we go, right back there. So if you look right here where the gateway is, right here in the back, if I put my hand in there, you can see it right back there. So you're gonna feed the cables through here, over there, back there, and then once you have them, they're gonna come out right here. So once they come out over here, you're gonna route them up, and you're gonna go up all the way there, and you should be able to get them right back here. So it's gonna be a little bit of playing around. It's very tight back there and very difficult, so this will take some time. But that's pretty much the way we want to go. So okay, so I was able to route the speaker wires and the white connector up there. I still got my MMI bypass here, and the gateway is still down here. So I just want to show you kind of how I did it. So you can see it's right in the back over there. Let's see. So you've got the cables right up here, the bundle. That's where it is, right here, back here. So I had it come out. Okay, so I had it come out right here. Here's where they are, and they kind of just run up. They're just right here, running up. And then be careful with this. There's a yellow connector, because this is your airbag right here, this whole unit. So try not to fuck with that too much. And then I put the cables. Let's see if I'll be able to show you. Yeah, they kind of just go right here, go up and over there towards the back. So once they go in there, they're over here. So essentially I kind of put my hand in there into the hole, and then I shoved my hand in here pretty deep so I can route everything up. So I was able to kind of pass it along and move it up, put it up here. So now that we've got all the cables here, the next one that we want to do is pull this one through. That's the one that's going to go to the gateway. So we're gonna route that one over there. Okay, so here we go. I've got my gateway bypass. I'm gonna go in there and go right back here. So that's exactly what I did with the connector for the RSNav. So just pull that through. Shine some light on there. Pull that through, and there we go. So we can essentially connect this to the gateway at this point. So you've got the gateway, the red cable right here. You're gonna unplug that, press the red tab, and then pull. There we go. So we've got the red connector here, unplugged from the gateway, and then we've got the T-harness. So we're gonna take the red connector, plug it into the harness right here. This gets pretty difficult when you've got one. Go. Okay, so you definitely want to make sure that this clicks in nicely. I heard it click, so it went in nice. Make sure that you've got your wires here, back here, that they're not coming out. That's one of the issues that a lot of people have, and so that you can tell that's why they've glued this back here, to make sure that you don't have those issues. But you want to make sure they don't come out. If one of them does, you're gonna have some serious problems with your car. Mostly it won't start. So anyway, now that that's plugged in, you're gonna take the other end of it, and now we're gonna plug it in to the gateway. Same thing. You want to make sure that, there you go, clicks in. I heard it click, and I also heard some stuff turn on in the car, so that's a good sign. Okay, so there we are. That's all we really need on the gateway side. So just tuck this in down here, tuck it away, and that's gonna be it. There we go. Okay, so now that we are done with the gateway's connected, we're gonna come back up here, and we are going to now wire the center speaker. So the center speaker sits right here. That's behind this cover. You'll want to start by taking this cover off. So this cover right here is just on clips. You're gonna take your plastic pry tool, and you're gonna slowly work your way around this cover right here. There you go. It's fairly easy. So once this comes out, right here is where your speaker is. So the speaker has 2 screws on each side. So there's one right here, and there's another one right here. They're both T20 screws. Okay, so I got the 2 screws out. Those were T20s, so they're out. And then I've got the speaker right here. So once you get the 2 screws out, you got the speaker right here, and then you have the connector that goes to it. There we go. Okay, so I routed the speaker wires through, so you can see now they come out up here, both of them. Okay, so now we're ready to connect the speaker. So we have the 2 connectors that are from the RSNav harness, and then you have your original connector right here that was plugged into your speaker. So you want to take this one and then connect it to one of these that came with the harness. So you've got the female side of the harness that you're going to connect into the old connector where the speaker was connected, and then you're going to take the other one and you're going to connect it to the speaker itself. Okay, so there we go, and that's it as far as the speaker is concerned. So we can essentially just put this back together now. You can take all these cables right here, and you're going to want to put them back into the dash, because there's really not much room up here. This space right here is just enough for the speaker. So we're going to take that, put the speaker back in, just like that. Here we go. And then we can put the 2 screws back in, and then screw that back down. Okay, and there we go. So we've got the speaker back in, the screws are tight, and then you can just put the cover back on. So it should go in easily. There we go. All right, so now that we are done with the speaker, now we want to go back to our antennas, our cables that we had running over here, and we want to do the same. We want to feed them to the screen because that's where they're going to go. So we're going to take the 2 cables, and then same thing, try to route them underneath there. They're going to come up over here, and then you're going to come out here and into this area. Okay, so I ended up routing both of the cables up here. So both of the antennas are here. We've got our main connector still there. So everything is routed right here. You can see this is where they go, over here, and then they go up right there. So I fed them all the way in there, and we can kind of see where the harness is sitting up there. So it's sitting all the way over here. Next thing, we're gonna go ahead and plug in this big boy right here. So you want to connect this. It's just going to be just like any of the other ones. You've got this big connector, and this is the one that you disconnected from the stock radio. So you're going to take this big boy right here, and then you're going to take this one, which is the female one with all the pins, and this gets plugged in to this. All right, so you're gonna want to make sure that this is open. This is what locks the whole connector in. So you want to make sure that it's fully open as far as it will go, because this then will go into right here, one of these, probably can't see it, but there's a knot, or not a notch, but a place that where it sticks out, the connector sticks out. So it will have to line up with this notch right here. So you put it in, and then you press it in a little bit, just like that. All right, and then once it goes in, you should be able to just close this like that, and then that's it. Make sure that none of the pins came out on the back. That's one of the issues that people have a lot. You'll see the metal contact that's inside of there. You'll see that come out if something happens. So it'll slide out and you'll see it. So I'm looking at all of these, and you can see that all the wires are still in there. So that's good. This is the part where we can essentially start putting things back together. So I'm going to start with the radio. Okay, so actually before I start putting it all back together, I'm going to comment on this cable. This is the antenna splitter. So this is the one that's got the blue connectors, and then one of these silver connectors, metal connector. So I'm not going to be using this. A lot of people ask about this, and I commented on this in the beginning of the video. This is your GPS antenna splitter. So if you want to use the stock antenna, so your stock GPS antenna that's built into your car, you want to use that for RSNav. Some people claim that it is stronger and better, whatever. In my car, I'm using the GPS antenna that came with RSNav, and I have not had any issues. So I figured that I'm just going to use whatever it came with, and that's it. But if you're one of those people that wants to use the stock antenna, you're going to have to use this cable. So obviously you would have not installed the antenna up in the headliner here, because there's no need for you. So so that square antenna, that one you would have not installed it. You would have just installed the Wi-Fi and cellular. So if you decide to use the stock GPS antenna, you're going to take this cable, and this is where you're going to take the square end of it, and you're going to plug it into the blue, into the stock radio. And then you're going to take the other one right here, and then you're going to find the cable wherever it is in here. Okay, so you're going to take the blue connector from the car, and then you're going to plug it in to this side. So you'll take this, plug it in there, and that's it. So you do that, and then you'll take the silver part of it, and then you're going to want to now route it. Take this in here and route it from here, pretty much just how we did the main harness. Route it along the same way that we did back here, up here, and you're going to want to put it up here. You want to reconnect your fiber optic cables, and then now this big connector, you're going to take this side of it, and then you're going to connect it into the stock radio, and then plug in all of your antennas. The green one wasn't there. We only had gray, yellow, blue, and the purple. Okay, so I've got everything connected. I've got my purple, blue, yellow, and gray. And then the big connector, same thing. It's got the locking tab on the bottom, so you partially press it in, and then you let the lever take over, and then it pushes in all the way in, and then locks in. And then I've got my fiber optic cable there. So now I'm just gonna try to somehow slide this in. One of the biggest issues that people have is that big bypass for the T-harness for the MMI that we plugged in. That cable gets in the way, but what I do is I move it down below this, because this will take up all of its space that's back there. So there is no room for you to put any of those cables back there. So you have to put it below, right here, because this is where there's actually space down here and there's room. So you want to move those down and then push it in. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do, I think at this point, is we are going to plug in the RSNav. So for now, I'm not putting any of this stuff back together or any of this. That's why I haven't put this all the way in, because we want to connect everything and then power the RSNav on, power it on, and then just make sure that everything is working. If you put it all back together, it doesn't work. Now you're doing double work. So that's why I'm just a little bit, just to make it work. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and connect this into the RSNav. Okay, so now if you look on the back of the RSNav, we've got your white connector, your big white connector that goes right here, which is this one that we fed through. We've got both of our antennas, so you've got the GPS and the 4G. Definitely one of the things that I didn't even think about is marking these to make sure which one is which, but I realized that it actually has 4G on one of them, so that's good. So at least we will know which one is which. If you connect them wrong, then you're gonna have some crappy signal and your navigation probably won't work. You might have some issues with your connection with your phone, so definitely want to make sure that you are connecting the right ones. Next thing, so this is the little adapter cable that they provide. So you want to take the blue side and you want to plug it into the RSNav. So that goes into the screen, and then you're going to take the other side, this purple side, and you're going to plug it into the connector that was right here, originally plugged into the original stock screen. And you need that because of this. You need that adapter because of this. This is what I was talking about. It's a right angle, so if you try to plug this into the RSNav, you're gonna have this in the way. The plastic is gonna be in the way, so that's why they provide you with this, so that you can plug it into this instead and go in there. And then finally, we've got two cables hanging off over here. So one of them, this one, the one that's next to the white connector, that's your USB. So you have a USB cable right here. Same thing. So you're gonna plug this side into this right here, and then you're gonna feed the USB cable pretty much wherever you wanted. A lot of people, there have been people who have asked if you need the USB, if this needs to be available somewhere, and for the most part, yes, because one of the things that this gets used for is updating the unit. So if you want to update the software that the RSNav releases, you're gonna have to put that software on a USB stick and then plug it into the unit. So you're gonna need to have this somewhat available somewhere. So people have, routed it wherever they felt like it. A lot of people will put it in the glove box. Some people will kind of have it hanging out over here or like down here by your feet. That's how I have it in my car, right here underneath this plastic piece. It just hangs out. Whenever I don't need it, I tuck it back in, and then when I need it, I just pull it out, plug in what I need. So this is definitely one of the other things that we're going to need to route from the screen. And then the final connector is this one, labeled MMI. So this one is an important one. If you have a 3G MMI, like Sean here does, this is your 3G MMI. So this needs to get plugged in to the harness. So the harness has a connector somewhere. I'm gonna have to pull it out. Right now it's buried in there. But you want to make sure that you don't forget to plug this in. If you forget to plug this in, your console is not going to work. None of the buttons are going to work at all. They're not even going to light up, and you're going to be wondering what the hell is going on. So this is one of the most common issues, is people forget to plug this in. Before I move on, the other thing is you've got the piece where your emergency button has been relocated, so it's no longer on this side, right? It's now on the left side. So they provided you with a connection cable, and so in the beginning right here is we disconnected the emergency cable, and so that's where this goes. You're going to connect this right here to this. Definitely make sure that you do connect this before you try the RSNav, because if you don't connect this, you'll get an airbag light. So there's going to be light on your dash. So if you turn the ignition on and this isn't connected, it's going to throw a fault and the airbag light will come on. And that is a safety fault. So it's something that you cannot clear, or sorry, it's not something that's going to go away by itself. You will need to connect a scan tool to it, like VCDS or OBD11 or Carista or something like that, and then you'll have to clear it with that. So that's why they say don't turn on the ignition while you're installing all of this. So because we're going to be testing, definitely plug this in as well. Okay, so here we are. I've got everything connected. I've got the antenna connector right there. That's or sorry, not antenna, the video. So this is a video from the stock MMI. Got our adapter right there, both of the antennas. I've got the MMI cable plugged in right here, and then our main connector right there. For now, I didn't plug in the USB cable because we're just testing. So there we are. And then, like I said, don't forget, plug in your emergency button. So as soon as I plugged it in, we've got the RSNav came alive. So it looks like we are alive. Okay, so it looks like the RSNav is on, and it's looking good for now. I haven't turned the power on just yet, but I want to make sure that I connect both of these back. So this is for the buttons right here on for the traction control and the drive select, and then I'm going to also connect the AC controls back to make sure we don't throw faults, because we will get some faults. Communication faults. Okay, so I've got the buttons connected to it, and then as soon as I plugged in the AC controls, that's when the radio turned off by itself. So that's why it was on for no reason. But now that I have the ignition on, I can see that it's working. So everything so far is looking good. Okay, so after testing the RSNav, everything looked good. So after I checked it, I removed the screen because I also have the backup camera. So from RSNav, so at this point that was the good time for me to go ahead and install it. So it's already installed. It's as you can see, it's right here, plugged in and connected. So it's ready to go. So at this point, essentially we've got the camera connected, and we've got RSNav. Looks like it's all the connections are there. So I think at this point it's really just starting to put the car back together. So I'm gonna start by doing the glove box, because the damn thing is literally right in my way. So I'm gonna start doing that. So actually one more thing. Actually, before I put the glove box back up, I just thought about this, and actually what I'm gonna do is I'm going to run the USB cables first. There is a USB cable here that's already attached to the harness, and then you have this second one that you can plug in, and that one plugs in into the screen connector that's or the cable that's connected straight to the screen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect this USB, and then I'm gonna go ahead and run them both inside, and then I'm probably going to come out with them right underneath here, under this panel. So for me, that's how it is in my car, and it's worked out pretty great. It's I can always tuck them back in when I don't need them, and if I do need them, they're right here, accessible and easy. Some people do put them in the glove box, but in my opinion, I'm not really a fan of you know, having to drill holes in the glove box, and that's just not something I want to do. So I'm gonna do it a more cleaner way and just put it underneath here. Okay, so I've got this side of the car finally buttoned back up. So the glove box is back in. I put all the panels back in. I put the side panel back on, and then, as I mentioned before, I ran the USBs right here. So for me, that's the best spot for them. If I don't need them, all I do is just tuck them in like that, and if I do need them, there they are. So super easy for me, and then I think it's better than drilling anything in your glove box or anywhere else. We're pretty much back to the center console here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start buttoning this side of it back up. I'm probably gonna start with just putting this, the MMI back in, and then the vents and the climate control. I do have to say though that when I did this in my own car, I never took out the vents. I took them out in here just to be comprehensive and to actually follow the recommendation that RSNav has in their instructions. And to be honest, I did not see the point of that. It was, I don't know, I took it out, and I didn't see any difference as far as, you know, being able to use this in any way. I mean, there's really no, like, you can't, you know, feed or help yourself feed the wires in here or anything like that. So in my opinion, I wouldn't take it out. I don't see the point, but maybe somebody else has a good reason why, but I didn't see a good reason. So if I did this again, I would not take them out. So we're pretty much at the final stage here. So what I'm gonna do now is mount the mounting bracket. So that's what holds the whole RSNav together. Okay, so while I was off screen here, first of all, I cleaned up this area. I pushed all of the cables that were just too long, and anything extra, I pushed it back into the dash, and I just left whatever connectors are needed to connect to the RSNav itself. So now we've got this bracket, and the bracket is to mount the bezel that goes on top to this. So we've got a this will go right here, and this is where the old screen was mounted, so that's where it's going to go. And this has been asked before, so you want it with the tabs going back. So some people have asked, you know, does it go this way or does it go this way? So you do want it to go with the tabs towards the back. So you've got the tabs, they're going towards, I mean, the back of the dash, and then you've got one that's in the back, and then the one that's kind of like halfway. So you want the one that's more towards the back on top, and the one that's halfway on the bottom. This is where you're gonna take the screws that you took out from the screen, and you're gonna put them in right there to hold the bracket in. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so I've got the bracket mounted. So I used the 4 screws that came with the screen to mount this right there, and then I fed all my wires through the holes. So on this side I've got the USB cable, the MMI controls, and the big white connector for the main connector. I've got both of the antennas here, the LVDS for the video, and then I've got my emergency button right here, so that connects to the bezel. So the next step here is going to be to put the original bezel back on here. Now, what's going to happen is they give us these screws, 4 of them, and so what you do is you put the bezel over, right? So you're going to install this back, and then you're going to put this over the top of that, and that's where the 4 screws are going to go. They're going to go into these 4 holes right here to mount it. But you'll notice that this one is being covered by the stock trim because it actually lines up to be right here. All the other ones will work, but not this one. And so what a lot of people do, and I actually did this in my car, is in this trim, you have to take this back plate off, this back piece, if you want that 4th screw to go in. And it's not very easy because this is melted together in the factory. So you would have to take like a Dremel or something like that and then grind away these melt marks right here. So all of these. And I did that on my car. It was okay. Wasn't too hard. But now that I think about it, you know, if I ever wanted to go back, I'm not really sure how I would melt that back together. So if I ever wanted to go back to the stock screen, I would have to figure out something how to mount that. So a lot of people actually will skip that 4th screw and they're just fine. There's no issue. So if you don't want to mess with this, you don't want to, you know, ruin it because, hey, maybe one day you'll go back to the stock screen and you're going to take out the RSNav. It's perfectly fine. I would just install this and just don't install the 4th screw because there's just no way. It lines up right here where with this plastic piece. So that's why this backing has to be removed. Otherwise, everything else just stays. The button stays where it is. There's no need to take it out or anything. Just leave it in there, and it's not going to be connected anymore. So this will just stay in there. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in, install it, and put this piece in. And I actually realized that one of the things is that the emergency button cable, I got it underneath the bracket, which is not going to work. I got to feed it through one of the holes. So I'm going to put it through one of those holes, and I'm probably going to put it through this one because now the button is going to be on this side. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I've got the stock bezel back in, so you can see that pretty much almost sits flush with that bracket. There's a little bit of a gap, but it's very small. So now I've got all of these cables that I need out here, including the emergency cable right there. So now we're going to take the bezel that they've provided and we're going to put it over the top. And then we'll use the 4 screws that they've provided to screw it down. So they're going to go into the middle 2 holes and the left hole. In my case, I'm going to leave the 4th right hole not there. So definitely don't forget to connect the emergency button when you do this. Otherwise, you're going to get an airbag light on the dash. So yeah, I'm going to do that now. Okay, so I finally got this bezel in. It was a little bit of a pain getting those screws in there and then them lining up with the holes and then lining up with the bracket holes was a bit challenging, but it's just a little bit of playing around and finally got it. So here we are. This is pretty much it. Now we just gotta plug in the screen. So plug in the main harness, the 2 antennas, and the video Lvds cable, and that's really going to be it. And then you just take the screen and you see you've got these tabs right here, and they go right here behind these. So they go behind that. So essentially you start from you put it against it, you start at the top, and then you just slide it down and it will lock in. and it's got a little button on the back in case you need to release it. I think the button is like right here somewhere, so if you need to release it, you gotta get back there, push the button, and then slide it back up and it'll come off. Okay, so I've got everything connected. I've got the main cable, the 2 antennas, and the LVDS for the video. I already connected the USB and the console control, so now we're just gonna put this on here just like that, and you can kind of see these tabs lining up on top. I'm just gonna press on it, and there we go, and we're in. So that's it. Okay, so one other thing that I actually forgot to mention is the auxiliary input. So that's something that everybody gets really hung up on these. And so the way that this RSNav unit works is it outputs its sound into the aux of the stock radio. So if you go back to the stock MMI, you want to go to media. So obviously this is a 3G MMI, so it will depend on what radio you have, but this is a 3G MMI. So we go to media, press media, and then you're gonna want to go to source. So you're gonna select your upper right button, and then you're gonna get all these options in here, and you want to select the external audio input. Okay, and then you're going to have external audio sources selected. So you want that to be always selected if you want to play sound through RSNav. If you change it, or let's say you go to radio and then you go back to RSNav, it's not going to work because right now you're just playing the radio. So you have to switch it to media, and then you want to make sure that the source is external audio, just like that. So that is how you get sound from RSNav. Now, one of the things about this car is that this is the B8.5, and for some reason, I don't know why, these don't need anything. In the instructions from RSNav, it'll tell you that you need to connect, here's your AMI cable, or AMI port. And the instructions will tell you that you have to plug in the AMI cable with a headphone jack on the other side, and you're just going to plug in that cable and nothing into that headphone jack. And that is there just so that you can fake, you're essentially telling the radio, you're faking it that there's something connected to it, but there really isn't. So on the B8.5, for some reason, we don't need it, so we simply can select the audio source and that's it, and you're good. If you have the concert radio, if it says concert on here, or if you have the symphony radio, it's also say symphony here, most of those will require you to either have something plugged into here, into the AMI port, or into the headphone jack. So some of these have, like in the in here, they'll have a headphone jack somewhere like on the back wall. So you'll actually have to run a cable from here underneath here somewhere and plug it into this, just so you can get sound. There's also ways where you can hook up either VCDS or a BD11 and enable that without having to connect it, but it really depends on the model and the type of radio that's in there. But in this one, we didn't have to connect anything. We can simply just select media. So once I did that, I can go to RSNav, and they've got the music app on theirs. So there's actually 2 songs that they have loaded. If you go to the list and you go to local, they have 2 songs that are loaded. No idea what it says, but the whole point is to select one, play it, and we've got sound from RSNav, so everything's working good. So at this point, that's it. I don't think there's anything else that I can say about it, except enjoy.